Single dad's incredibly heartwarming discovery, babysitter for his twins is a CEO's hidden daughter. Jacob had a hectic morning, the alarm rang late, the coffee pot sputtered when it should have been brewing perfection, and the twins, Lily and Max, were in full rebellion mode over their planned breakfast of oatmeal. As they bounced around their cozy living room, their laughter felt like sunshine breaking through a storm. With their mother long gone and the weight of the world on his shoulders, Jacob had learned how to embrace these moments. They were his lifeline, the glue holding their broken family together. But still, the judgments from the neighbors gnawed at him. How could a single dad find peace in these chaotic times while others whispered behind his back? On a whim, he posted an ad for a babysitter. Enter Sarah, a college student who seemed ordinary enough. The first day she arrived, her vibrant energy filled the house. The moment she stepped through the front door, with her warm smile and lively chatter, both Lily and Max were enchanted. She turned their routine into a game, turning chores into adventures. They tested her with silly questions and spontaneous dance-offs, pushing the bounds of silliness, and there she was, keeping right up. "You're like a wizard," Max exclaimed as Sarah conjured spaghetti into the air, making them giggle uncontrollably. Jacob watched from the kitchen, heart swelling. For the first time in months, he felt at ease, like he could breathe again. Perhaps this would work out after all. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As days turned into weeks, the bond between Sarah and the twins blossomed. Even Jacob found himself drawn to her infectious laughter, enjoying evenings spent discussing quirky films and parenting struggles. But just as things felt steady, news broke at the community barbecue. A casual conversation revealed that Sarah carried the last name of a powerful CEO, her hidden lineage sparking whispers that crackled through the crowd like lightning. Jacob felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Here he was building something meaningful with Sarah, yet she came from a world he resented. Conflicted emotions roared within him like a tempest. All those nights spent battling isolation, he'd forged a connection in spite of their class disparities. Would this revelation shatter what they'd built? As he watched her face, a mix of shame and defensiveness taking over, he struggled to reconcile his feelings. Their friendship hung by a thread, and just as Jacob prepared to confront the fears welling up inside, a knock shattered his thoughts. The door creaked open, and with it, Jacob recognized a turning point. Would he open not just the door, but his heart to a future filled with the hope he'd almost given up on? Hands trembling, he steadied his breath, standing at the brink of a precious crossroads. Jacob's pulse quickened as he moved toward the door, uncertainty dancing in his chest. He took a steadying breath, willing himself to confront whatever awaited him beyond that threshold. As he pulled open the door, he was met not with the expected face of a neighbor, but with Sarah. Her cheeks flushed, and her eyes glimmered with an urgency that was impossible to ignore. "Jacob," she started, her voice trembling slightly. "I need to talk to you." He stepped aside, inviting her in but feeling the air shift between them. The warmth he'd once felt around Sarah was now overshadowed by tension. As she crossed the threshold into his home, it was like a gust of wind carrying both hope and dread. "We need to clear the air," she said, her gaze intense. "About what happened at the barbecue. I never wanted you to find out this way." Jacob swallowed hard, unsure of how to respond. He motioned for her to take a seat, the two children oblivious to the weight of their conversation, engrossed in their make-believe battles in the living room. "Is it true?" he finally asked, his voice low. "Are you really the CEO's daughter?" She sighed, the exhale shaky and laden with the unspoken story she carried. "Yes, and no. It's complicated." My dad, she glanced at the twins, their laughter spilling into the room, a stark contrast to the gravity of their discussion. He's not the father I wanted. I've spent my life trying to break away from that image. This, she gestured towards the living room where the twins played, this is who I want to be. Jacob felt a pang of empathy. He understood wanting to escape, to carve your own path amidst others' expectations. But doubts nagged at him. But what if it changes everything? What if they find out? What are they going to say? Sarah leaned closer, her sincerity dawning in her expression. I don't care what they think. This, she paused, her voice dropping to a whisper that was almost lost among the children's giggles. This feels real. You and the twins, this family we're building. I want this more than the life they've planned for me. His heart softened, but a sliver of doubt remained lodged in his mind. So, what do we do? How can we balance this? She reached out, her small hand hovering uncertainly near his before she finally took a leap and placed it against his. In that simple touch, an unspoken connection sparked between them. We keep going. Together. I don't want to lose this, lose you. In that moment, something shifted inside Jacob. The fear that had clenched his heart began to loosen just a little. Maybe this was their chance, a chance to rise above the chaos, above judgments and old wounds. He took a deep breath, feeling power in the decision they both faced. That as they stood together, the laughter of the twins echoed, reminding him of the unbreakable bond they had formed as a trio. He smiled softly, feeling the weight of responsibility shift into something lighter. But before he could say the words bubbling in his chest, the doorbell rang again, cutting through the fragile tranquility. Who could that be? Jacob wondered, heart racing once more. They exchanged a glance, curiosity lacing their expressions. What if it was someone who could jeopardize everything they had just decided to protect? As the door creaked open again, the world outside loomed large with uncertainty. Would this be the beginning of a new challenge or the final test of their fragile connection? Jacob hesitated, bracing himself for whatever lay beyond the door. The familiar sound of the doorbell was now a harbinger, set against the backdrop of his swirling emotions. He stole a glance at Sarah, and for a moment, the world slipped away, leaving only the charge in the air between them. Stay here, he whispered, though her eyes told him she wasn't going anywhere. His heart pounded as he pushed the door open a little wider. Standing there was Mr. Thompson, the president of the community association. His face was set, and the casual demeanor Jacob often associated with him was replaced by a stern tension. Behind him, Jacob could catch a glimpse of another familiar face, James, Sarah's father. Their sudden appearance left a chill settling in his gut. Jacob, Mr. Thompson said, his voice low but steady. We need to talk. It's important. Now? Jacob asked, glancing over his shoulder toward Sarah, who had visibly stiffened. He saw her instinctively back away, the playful noise of the twins fading to a subtle hum. Yes, now. Please, Mr. Thompson insisted, stepping forward, urgency etched across his features. It concerns Sarah. Jacob's heart sank heavier. He'd taken a leap of faith to let Sarah in, and now it felt like the floor beneath them was crumbling away. He didn't need to turn back to see Sarah's expression. It was in the air, thick and electric with fear. Can you not? Jacob started, but Mr. Thompson cut him off. It's not just this. It's about her father's plans and what might happen if they find out she's here. We can't let them disrupt what you two are building. I'm worried about the kids too. Jacob felt the weight of every word. He nodded sharply, letting Mr. Thompson step inside. Let us talk, he said quietly, trying to maintain control. If there was any chance to protect this fragile connection they had tethered together, it was now. As the door closed behind them, Jacob sensed Sarah inching closer. Her hand squeezed his palm, fingers intertwined for strength. He sought comfort in that connection, but a deeper sense of dread loomed ever closer. Mr. Thompson laid out the details in hushed tones. He explained how the company was facing scrutiny, and how this could fall back on Sarah and make waves through their little family. "Your choice to be here might put all of you at risk," he warned, glancing toward the twins who were still obliviously playing. Jacob exchanged glances with Sarah, his heart twisting painfully. "We can't let this shatter what we've started," he murmured, feeling his resolve hardening. "We deserve a chance." "I don't care what they say," Sarah fired back fiercely, her eyes blazing with passion. "I want this life. I want you and the twins. I want—" Before she could finish, a soft knock interrupted the urgent moment. Jacob turned, his pulse racing once more. The door had barely opened before another figure stepped into the room, one he hadn't expected. "Jacob," a familiar voice called out. It was Helen, their neighbor, and her expression held a knowing look that made the hairs on his neck stand on end. He had a sinking feeling that she wasn't there just for a casual visit. "Jacob, we really need to talk about Sarah," she said, and the gravity in her voice hinted that their world was about to tilt once again. What had he walked into now? Jacob's heart raced as the tension in the room thickened once more, the fragile peace they'd fought to create hanging perilously in the balance. What truths would be exposed next? Jacob's mind raced with the implications of Helen's words. Sharing a glance with Sarah, he saw the reflection of his own turmoil mirrored in her eyes. What could Helen possibly know that could upend everything they were trying to protect? "Is everything okay?" Jacob asked, trying to sound casual, but his voice cracked a bit. The urgency in the room pressed down on him like a weight. Helen took a deep breath, her gaze darting between Jacob and Mr. Thompson. "It's about Sarah's father. I think he is looking for her. I overheard some conversations at the community center. It's more than just business. He seems desperate." Jacob felt the ground shift beneath him. Sarah's body was rigid next to him, and he could sense the fire within her spirit fighting against the dawning dread. "Desperate?" she repeated, disbelief coloring her tone. "But why?" "I don't know all the details, but it sounds like some big decisions are being made. He might be planning to." Helen hesitated, as though crafting her words carefully. "Take control of her life again. It's wrong, Sarah. You deserve freedom." Barbed tension filled the air. Jacob clenched his jaw, pinching the bridge of his nose as fear clawed at him. He had wanted nothing but peace for Sarah and the twins, a little bubble of happiness carved out amidst chaos. Yet, it felt like everything was unraveling. "Let us not panic just yet," Mr. Thompson said firmly. "We need to discuss our options." "Helen, what can you do?" Helen squared her shoulders. "I can keep an ear to the ground, watch the goings-on in the neighborhood. Whatever possibility he plots, it will come to light. But you all need to be prepared. What if he comes looking for me?" Sarah's voice was small, uncharacteristically vulnerable. "I can't let him control me again." Jacob, feeling the fire in her eyes dimming, tightened his grip on her hand. "You won't have to face anything alone. We'll figure this out together. You have me and the twins, and we'll protect you." "But how?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. An unsettling silence stretched between them, filled with the alternately comforting and frantic sounds of the twins playing in the other room, their innocence a stark contrast to the heavy uncertainties hovering in the air. Before anyone could respond, the twins burst through the doorway, their giggles chiming like tiny bells. "Daddy! Look what we found," they called excitedly, holding up a pair of bright, crumpled paper airplanes. Their carefree joy cut through the tension like a knife. Jacob forced a smile, kneeling to their level. "Wow! Those are amazing." Though he feigned enthusiasm, the truth lay heavy in his chest. Could this fragile bubble of a life withstand what was looming? Sarah joined him on the floor, her expression softening as she interacted with her siblings. But Jacob could still see the worry flickering behind those bright eyes, an ember threatening to glow into flames once again. In the momentary distraction, Helen exchanged a look with Mr. Thompson that Jacob couldn't decipher. An understanding, perhaps. Or a warning. Stay close to each other, Jacob urged the twins as they ran back to their games, their laughter echoing in the otherwise charged atmosphere. Sarah met his gaze, vulnerability dancing with resolve. We can face this, right? Jacob nodded, his heart full but anxious. Absolutely, he replied, though doubt crept into his voice. And just then, another knock echoed against the door, shattering the fragile stillness again. Jacob's heart raced as dread sank in once more. Who now? He mumbled, tension pulling tight in his chest. As he moved toward the door, a sinking feeling swelled inside him. What if it was someone they couldn't manage? What if the truth collided with their lives in a way they never saw coming? He opened the door cautiously, bracing for whatever revelation awaited him. Jacob, came a familiar voice, thick with authority. It was an unexpected guest who sent a jolt through the room. We need to talk about Sarah. Jacob froze, his heart pounding in his chest as he processed the weight of those words. The door creaked open wider, revealing Agent Walker, a stern figure clad in a dark suit, a badge clipped to her belt that seemed to amplify the tension in the air. Agent Walker, Jacob said, attempting to sound composed, though the tremor in his voice gave him away. What are you doing here? There's no time for pleasantries, she said, stepping into the room, her expression pinched with urgency. Sarah's father is closer than you think, and he's not playing games. We have reason to believe he's made moves to approach you. The words spun like a whirlwind in Jacob's mind. He shot a glance over at Sarah, who looked frozen in place. Fear flickered in her eyes, but beneath it lay a fire. What do you mean he's made moves? Sarah asked, her voice steady masking the storm within. What kind of moves? Agent Walker glanced at Mr. Thompson, who had shifted uncomfortably in his seat. I've been monitoring his activities since we first intervened in his business dealings. He might attempt to use legal channels to forcefully reclaim his parental rights, or worse. Jacob's blood ran cold. You mean he could try to take her away? Yes, and it could happen sooner rather than later, Agent Walker stated flatly. If he finds out where you are, this may escalate. Feeling all the air leave the room, Jacob turned to Sarah. We need to act. We can't let that happen. I want to go back to him, Sarah said, clenching her fists, her voice now a low, urgent whisper. I refuse to let him control me, again. Helen took a step forward. What are our options? We can't let him take away what you've built here, Sarah. This life, your family, it matters more than anything. Jacob felt the weight of their shared commitment, pushing back against the fear threatening to consume him. We can stay low for a while. Change our routines. Keep the twins close, and stay quiet, Agent Walker interjected, her eyes sharp. But we need to be proactive. Enlist local resources. I can help you connect with services that specialize in protection, but I need your trust. Sarah's gaze shifted from Jacob to the agent, and he saw the determination flicker alive once more. You're right. I've fought too hard to lose everything. Jacob stepped closer, placing a hand on Sarah's shoulder. We'll face this together, I promise. You won't be alone. Suddenly, the sound of laughter floated in from the other room, a melody of innocence that felt almost ethereal amidst the chaos. Jacob's heart tightened. Those little voices were a reminder of what was truly at stake. Am I safe here? Sarah questioned, her voice trembling slightly. What if he finds us? Agent Walker met her gaze, and the intensity in her eyes shifted to something soft yet unyielding. We'll make sure you are safe. I've dealt with numerous cases like this, and it's crucial we act swiftly. But I want to lie, this might get messy. As the word settled, Jacob felt a simmering rage ignite within him. Let him try. We're not backing down. The air in the room felt electrified, crackling with tension and the promise of impending conflict. The twins' laughter rang out once more, a sweet relief amid the gathering storm, but just then, Jacob's phone buzzed on the counter, a message lighting up the screen that made his heart drop. It's him. I'll be there in 1 hour. His hands shook as he read the message, a chill racing down his spine. What is it? Sarah asked, grabbing his arm. It's his number, Jacob muttered, dread creeping in. He's coming. Caught between desperation and determination, they all stared at each other, grappling with the enormity of what was unfolding. Prepare yourselves, Agent Walker warned, steeling herself. It's time to confront the past to protect your future. We'll face this head-on. But Jacob's heart raced. Did they even have a chance? As the shadows lengthened outside, the question loomed large: were they prepared for the storm that was about to hit? Jacob's phone slipped from his hand, clattering onto the countertop. The weight of the message pressed down on him like a lead balloon. The laughter from the twins echoed through the house, creating a shocking contrast to the dread that filled the air. Okay, think, Jacob muttered, pacing. He needed a plan, and fast. The clock was ticking. We must get ready. We need to put up barriers, whatever it takes to keep him out and keep Sarah safe. Barriers can only do so much, Agent Walker said, her voice low but firm, cutting through the pulse of panic. We need to rely on more than just physical barriers. We should establish a communication network, people who know what to do if he shows up. Sarah's eyes darted nervously to the door, as if expecting him to burst in at any moment. What about the twins? I can't let him get near them. Agent Walker nodded in understanding. They're your priority. We can set up a code system with close friends or family. Anyone who has a hint of trouble can step in. Jacob, you need to call in every favor you have. Make sure the people you trust are on alert. Agreed, Jacob said, adrenaline fueling him. He grabbed his phone and began scrolling through his contacts, his fingers shaking slightly as he called his brother, Mark. You've got to come over. We're in trouble, big trouble. As he spoke, Sarah's gaze shifted to the window. What if he's always watching? What if he knows where we are? Jacob turned to face her. He doesn't have eyes everywhere. We're safe, for now. But I need you to trust that what we have can handle this. Keep your eyes open and be ready. The words barely left his mouth when another message pinged on his phone, this one a photo. A snapshot of a familiar building with a caption, I know you're here. Awaiting our reunion. It was too close for comfort. Jacob's gut twisted, he didn't recognize the number, but it couldn't be anyone else. Sarah. Everyone inside, now. He shouted, panic spiking in his chest, and fear coursing through his veins. What is it? Sarah asked, her hands flying to her face. Just do it. Please. Jacob urged. As the twins rushed in, giggling and oblivious to the tension, Jacob's heart twisted with conflicting emotions. He wanted to shield them from this dark world. But in that moment, he knew they would have to face it together. Helen gently guided the twins into the living room. Come on, kids, let us do a little game. Can you help Miss Helen find all the toys? Okay. Their voices rang out cheerfully, but Jacob's heart ached. He turned back to Agent Walker. We need to make sure they're safe while we deal with this. We will, she assured him, her voice steady. But we are running out of time. You need to warn the others. Jacob, he'll do anything. Expect the unexpected. Jacob clenched his fists, resolve hardening within him. What do we need to do? I'll contact some of my resources, Agent Walker replied, her eyes fierce. But I need you to think. Get your brother here fast. Do you trust him? More than anyone, Jacob replied, glancing toward the door as if expecting it to burst open. Just then, the laughter of the twins floated through the air again, a haunting reminder of all they stood to lose. But this was more than just family. It was about freedom, resilience, and the unwavering bond they had created. Mommy, look! One of the twins cried out, drawing attention to a pile of toys strewn across the floor. Sweetheart, stay there, Sarah called out softly, her eyes darting from the window to the door, keeping her children close. Jacob held her gaze, a shared understanding passing silently between them. They wouldn't let fear dictate their lives. They were strong. They would fight through this together. As the minutes slipped away, Jacob felt a chill sweep through the room. The unshakable belief in what they could build outweighed the shadows lurking just outside their little haven. But how many more moments of peace would they have before the storm hit? And at that moment, as they prepared for the battle ahead, a creak echoed through the house. Jacob and Sarah exchanged fearful glances. What was that? She whispered. A soft knock echoed from the back door, freezing Jacob in place. Who is there? He called out, heart racing, as dread and determination coiled tightly inside him. Would he be ready to face whatever awaited him? The knock came again, softer this time, almost tentative, but it sent Jacob's heart racing. He had his family to protect, and now a stranger's presence threatened that fragile sense of security. Stay close, Sarah, he whispered, his voice low but steady, betraying none of the turmoil roiling just beneath the surface. Moving cautiously to the back door, he felt the weight of every assumption he had ever made about safety, trust, and the world beyond these walls. Should I open it? Sarah asked, her fear clearly mirrored in her eyes. We can't let just anyone in, Jacob replied, his mind racing through possibilities. But what if it's Mark? What if he needs help? Before Sarah could respond, he glanced back at the living room, where the twins had now realized something was amiss. A worried silence replaced their innocent laughter, leaving a knot of anxiety in Jacob's stomach. Stay with Helen, he instructed gently. I'll check it out. Sarah nodded, her eyes flooded with both anxiety and a flicker of hope for reinforcement. Whatever it was, they had to be ready to face it together. Steeling himself, Jacob gripped the doorknob, heart pounding as he turned it slowly. As the door creaked open, a gust of cold air rushed in, carrying with it the scent of rain-soaked earth and the crispness of impending night. Standing just outside was a figure obscured in the shadows, an older man with graying hair and a coat pulled tightly around him. Jacob? He said, his voice barely above a whisper. Who are you? Jacob asked, taking a step back, fully alert. It's me. Samuel, the man replied, stepping into the little light spilling from the house. Jacob's eyes widened. Samuel was an old family friend, someone he hadn't seen in years. They had lost touch after life got complicated, but the urgency on his face rekindled memories of easier times. Samuel. What are you doing here? Jacob exclaimed, pushing past his initial wariness. We're in danger. You shouldn't be here. I know, Samuel said, his voice grave. But I've been keeping an eye on you, on Sarah and the twins. I came as soon as I heard. From who? What matters is that I know what's at stake, Samuel said, looking over his shoulder as if expecting someone to emerge from the shadows. I'm not leaving until I'm sure you're safe. Jacob wanted to trust him, yet he felt the weight of the previous message still gnawing at the back of his mind. You called in the same favor I did. More than that. Samuel stepped over the threshold, his demeanor shifting from wary friend to someone with purpose. I have resources, connections. We need to fortify this place now. The resolve in the older man's voice shot through Jacob like a bolt of electricity. Suddenly, all the pieces started falling into place. And the twins, they're good, Samuel said, reassuringly. As long as we act fast, we can protect them. Jacob's heart sank when he thought about their laughter, the innocence of their play interrupted by this turmoil. They didn't deserve any of this, and now, he had to make hard choices to shield them from the threat lurking in the background. Let us gather everyone. We need a plan, he said, grabbing Samuel's arm. As they moved back into the house, tension hung thick in the air. The twins were resting on Helen's lap, oblivious to the danger, and it both thrilled and terrified Jacob. Just as they were about to discuss their next steps, the door swung wide open again, a draft swirling in. A second figure stepped inside, and Jacob froze. You didn't really think I wouldn't find you? The smooth, taunting voice cut through the gathering darkness, and Jacob's skin prickled with dread. He turned slowly to face the looming threat. Why are you here? Jacob demanded, jaw clenched, heart racing. The last thing he expected was for the figure to step forward, revealing a face he knew all too well. Because we have unfinished business, Jacob. And suddenly, the walls around him felt much narrower, the shadows closing in, tightening like a noose. Would he have the strength to confront this reality? Jacob's heart thundered in his chest, the old wounds of betrayal surfacing as he locked eyes with the intruder. What do you want, Ethan? He bit out, his voice steady but laced with frustration. Ethan stepped fully into the light, his dark features illuminated now, revealing a smirk that seemed to mock Jacob's apprehension. Isn't it obvious? I'm here to settle accounts, he said, his voice smooth like silk yet dripping with malice. Behind Jacob, Sarah shifted nervously, her hands tightening into fists at her sides. Samuel's presence became even more vital. Jacob felt the man's steady hand on his shoulder like a lifeline grounding him. Accounts? Jacob shot back incredulously. You're not the one who calls the shots here anymore. You lost that privilege. Oh, did I? Ethan stepped closer, lowering his voice. You're playing a dangerous game, Jacob. You think just because you've hidden yourself away, you're safe. You don't know who I've aligned myself with. Fear twisted in Jacob's gut. He had been foolish to think they could simply live in peace. I'm not afraid of you, he said, but even as he said it, he hesitated. Ethan laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down Jacob's spine. Maybe you should be. What's more dangerous is what your sweet family doesn't know. A little secret I've kept, and they might not appreciate a surprise visitor. The implication snapped Jacob's focus like a cold slap. He looked to Samuel, whose face had hardened in reaction to Ethan's words. The joy of the twins' laughter flashed in his mind, now threatened by the very man standing in front of him. We won't let you harm them, Samuel stated firmly, stepping forward, his protective instinct ignited. Your games end here. Jacob felt adrenaline surging. Would they really let this man walk in and keep pushing boundaries? You can threaten me, but it won't change the fact that you're outnumbered, he declared, his voice rising. Ethan's smirk faltered for just a second, but he quickly regained his composure. Is that right? You think little Helen and your kids can protect you? At the mention of Helen, Jacob's resolve solidified. She may not be able to fight, but her love for the twins shone brightly, a beacon of strength. They're all I have. You have no idea how far I'll go to protect them. Is that so? Ethan replied, raising an eyebrow, the malice creeping back into his expression. Then let us see how far you'll go when I come knocking on their door, too. With those words, Jacob felt the weight of Ethan's threat settle heavily on his shoulders. He turned to Samuel, urgency shifting in him. We need a plan, and we need it fast. He can't get to them. As they moved further out of the living room, Jacob felt the dozen scenarios racing through his mind. The twins needed to be safeguarded. How could he orchestrate that without letting fear consume him? How often had he told them life was full of adventures? Yet this wasn't the adventure they deserved. Suddenly, a soft voice broke the tense atmosphere. Daddy? It was Lucy's sweet tone, innocent as a spring day, and it crushed through the taut air between them. Jacob turned to see her sleepy eyes peeking around the corner. Lucy! Jacob rushed forward, heart sinking at how blissfully unaware she was of the danger lurking just behind that threshold. Everything's okay, sweetie. Just stay with Mommy for a minute, okay? But the instinct of a father was stronger than any fear. He didn't have time for games. Not anymore. As Lucy nodded and returned to the safety of her mother, the resolve in Jacob grew tenfold. He would outsmart Ethan, find a way to keep them all safe. But with the night thickening and shadows deepening outside, Jacob felt an ominous warning echo through him. What debts would Ethan demand, And what bridges would he have to cross in this fight for his family? Caught in the crosshairs of the past and the urgent need to protect his future, Jacob knew all too well that this battle was only just beginning and he had to be ready for whatever was coming next. Would he rise to meet it? In that moment, a new thought struck him. Was there more to Samuel's overnight visit than just protection? What secrets did his old friend hold that might turn this tide? Jacob paced the length of the dimly lit hallway, his mind racing as he tried to piece together what Ethan had said. Samuel followed him, a shadow of calm in contrast to Jacob's churned emotions. "We need to act on this, Jacob," Samuel urged softly, sensing the urgency. "If there is something we don't know, then keeping your family safe has to be our priority." Every fiber of Jacob's being screamed at him to protect Lucy and her twin brother, Noah. He struggled with the fear that coiled around his heart. "What do we do about Ethan? We can't just wait for him to make his next move," he said, frustration boiling beneath his skin. "I have some contacts," Samuel replied, his eyes narrowing in thought. "People who know Ethan, know his moves. I can reach out to them." Jacob stopped, the realization hitting him like a freight train. "You think there's a chance he's not acting alone?" The question hung in the air, heavy with dread. "Ethan is the kind of man who would want allies in darkness," Samuel answered, crossing his arms. "We can't assume he is alone in this. Let us uncover who is backing him." The tension in the air shifted, and Jacob swallowed hard, heart racing at the thought of being pulled back into that world, Ethan's world. The initial sting of betrayal was replaced by a fresh wave of determination. "All right. Let us figure this out together." As they prepared to strategize, Jacob could feel the weight of his responsibility tightening around him. Evening shadows crept into the corners of their home, which should have been a sanctuary. Instead, it felt more like a ticking clock counting down to an inevitable explosion. Suddenly, Jacob's phone vibrated fiercely on the table, pulling him from his spiraling thoughts. He glanced over at Samuel, who raised his eyebrows. "Answer it. It could be important," he insisted. Jacob picked up the device, his heart pounding. It was Helen. "Jacob," her voice trembled through the speaker, laced with concern. "Is everything okay? Lucy is asking about you." For a moment, he closed his eyes, fighting against the swell of emotions that threatened to break him. "It's all right, honey. Just a little situation. I'm working on it." He had promised her safety, yet how could he ease her worry when trouble loomed so close? "Just come home soon. I miss you." Her voice was steady, but Jacob could feel the unspoken fear beneath it. "I love you." "I love you too," Jacob replied, staring out the window, watching the moonlight shimmer against the trees outside. "I promise I'll be there soon." After hanging up, he faced Samuel, whose expression mirrored Jacob's unspoken anxiety. "I can't let anything happen to them," he said, his voice lowered to a firm whisper. "Not again." "Then we dig deep." Samuel nodded resolutely. "But let us also keep them out of this for now. We need to protect their innocence." Jacob sighed, rubbing his temples. "Do you think this could be the test of our friendship? You and me against Ethan? I never wanted to pull you into something dangerous." "We've been through too much already, Jacob," Samuel said, his eyes unwavering. "My loyalty is to you, to the family. I'll fight beside you, whatever it takes." Feeling the solidarity between them, a small surge of hope brightened the corners of Jacob's heart. They were ready to prepare, to fight back, but the real challenge lay ahead. He felt painfully aware of the danger surrounding his loved ones and how exposed they were more with each passing moment. Just then, a laughter filled the stillness, bright and innocent from the twins' laughter echoing in from the living room where they were playing, blissfully unaware. A pang shot through Jacob. He had to act before that laughter was silenced, and the silence that followed, a sinking realization dawned upon him. What if Ethan planned to strike when they least expected it? What if that means targeting the very heart of his family? "No more hiding," Jacob said, determination filling his voice. We'll face this together, but we need to find out what secrets Samuel might hold from the past and how they tie into Ethan. There's too much at stake. Samuel nodded sharply. Let us find those answers, Jacob. For your family's sake. I'll reach out tonight. And with that, Jacob felt the resolve deepen within him. Yet, as the shadows danced outside, he couldn't shake the unsettling question how many layers of secrecy lay buried beneath their lives. Would the answers be what they needed, or would they unearth a truth too harrowing to face? With adrenaline thrumming through him, Jacob steeled himself for the truth, knowing they were about to step into a dark world filled with uncertainty. Just how deep did this go? And would he finally be prepared for what awaited on the other side? As the relentless evening crept on, Jacob's heart thudded in rhythm with the rising tension. They all gathered in the living room, and even amid the ruffling chaos of toys and laughter, he felt the daunting weight of the dark reality creeping closer. With Samuel by his side, determination steadied Jacob's resolve. They were in this together, and he'd do whatever it took to protect his family. Okay everyone, Jacob said, his voice rising above the twins' playful antics. We need a plan. The room quieted, the twins turned their wide eyes upon him, their innocence a stark contrast to the uncertainty swirling in the air. The worry etched across Sarah's face deepened a knot in Jacob's stomach. Before he could speak further, Samuel interjected. Your focus must be on safety for everyone, Jacob. The twins can stay with Helen while we figure out our next move. Helen, still keeping a watchful eye on the twins, nodded in agreement. Of course. The kids are my priority too. I'll keep them entertained. Jacob glanced at his little ones, their laughter soothing yet heart-wrenching all at once. Okay. Let them know it's a game of hide-and-seek. They'll feel safe with that. A spark of hope ignited inside him as he watched Helen engage the twins with her warm smile. Sarah, he turned to her, feeling the gravity of the moment. I want you to lay low, stay right here while Samuel and I dig deeper into this. But she started. No buts, he interrupted gently but firmly. We need to keep you safe, I won't let anything happen to you, I won't let anything happen to our family. Her gaze met his, and Jacob was grateful to see a flicker of faith replace the shadow of anxiety. Fine, she whispered, nodding. Let us do this. Samuel, can you get our contacts out tonight? Jacob asked, urgency in his voice. Already ahead of you, Samuel replied, his calm professionalism wrapping around Jacob like a comforting blanket. Let us move quickly. I'll reach out and see what I can gather about Ethan's dealings. With resolve coursing through him, Jacob watched Samuel step out into the night, his silhouette swallowed by the shadows that had been their enemy for far too long. As soon as the door clicked shut, Jacob pulled Sarah into a quiet corner. Promise me something, he implored, taking her hands in his. Whatever happens, you stay hidden. If Ethan knows you're here, he won't think twice about using the twins against us. I promise, she said, her voice soft but fiercely unwavering. Jacob filled his lungs, emotions swirling as he tried to remain strong for both their sakes. I won't let him take you. Not again. Not ever. Thank you, Jacob. Her sincerity pierced through their tangled fears. They shared a tense moment, raw emotion fluttering in the air around them, when suddenly the twins burst back into the room. Daddy! We found all the toys. Little Max shouted, his enthusiasm electrifying the heavy atmosphere. Good job, buddy. Jacob said, pretending to be oblivious to the storm gathering beyond their walls, but beneath the surface, reality was still waiting, lurking like a dark shadow. Minutes turned into hours, anxiety gnawing at the edges of Jacob's peace. How long could they sustain this facade of family bliss? Every giggle felt like a precious gemstone, but each moment intensifying his fear of losing it all. When Samuel returned, his expression was grim yet focused. I have information. It's deeper than we feared, Jacob, he said, dropping his bag on the table, the weight of it carrying their collective dread. What do you mean? Jacob breathed heavily, trepidation coursing through his veins. Ethan has been working alongside some powerful people connections even I didn't foresee. He's not just after you, he's got a vendetta against everything you've built. Jacob clenched his fists, indignation ignited a fire deep inside him. I won't let him destroy this life. We've worked too hard for it. Agreed, Samuel replied. But we must be clever. We can't let him know how close we are until we find the evidence to back us up. A resolve firmer than steel took root in Jacob's chest. Then let us gather everything we need to keep our family safe. We're not backing down, he proclaimed, glancing back at the twins who were still obliviously playing, unaware of the impending storm. The laughter of the twins, though innocent, felt like a ticking clock against the cold breath of dread looming outside. Each sound filled Jacob's heart with warmth, yet reminded him of the peril just beyond their door. He had no choice but to stay vigilant. Move quickly, he said sharply to Samuel as Helen gathered the twins closer to her, ensuring their laughter remained a distraction against the rising intensity. I'll hold everything steady here until we know what we're dealing with. As they scattered, Jacob steadied his heart with palpable determination. He would shield his family through thick and thin, drawing strength from the collective bond they had built against all odds. This was a defining moment, an inspiring cataclysm of love and sacrifice fueling him to form an unbreakable shield around the precious life he had rebuilt. Ethan will learn the hard way, Jacob muttered under his breath, echoing his promise to protect this little world of theirs, doused in hope and resilience. As night enveloped the home, Jacob felt the winds of change swirl. The unknown loomed, but so did their unwavering strength. The fight had just begun, and with it came the possibility of a brighter dawn emerging from shadows dark enough to swallow fear whole, and in that promise, Jacob found almost a spark of joy blossoming deep within, where hope mingled with courage, drawing the path to a new, vibrant future. With every breath he took, he knew they would emerge stronger united, driven by the power of love and a promise unbreakable. He prepared, ready to face whatever came next, undeterred and ignited by the bonds of family, fierce and unyielding. Now it was time to prepare the defenses. Jacob took a deep breath, steeling himself for the storm to come. Because together, they would fight whatever it took. And as the stars twinkled outside, the world remained in suspense. Would the dawn bring comfort or chaos? Would they rise as a family anew, or would shadows consume what they had fought to reclaim? Only time would tell, and Jacob was ready for whatever came next. Now, here's where you come in. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will continue to unravel this captivating tale. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for this journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this intense ending. How did Jacob's story impact you? And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to stand together as a community. Don't wait not even one more second to support this channel. Only true fans understand the importance of acting now.